round of applause. Yes. Let us remain standing as the Zimbabwe Republic Police leads us in playing the national anthem of the Republic of Zimbabwe, to be followed by the anthem of the African Union. Thank you very much. Kindly be seated. Our guest of honor, the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe and Head of State and Government, Your Excellency Dr. Emerson Mnangagwa. The First Lady, Amai Dr. Auxilia Mnangagwa, in absentia. His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, President of the Republic of Uganda and Chairperson of the African Peer Review Forum of Heads of State and Government, hereby represented by Her Excellency Major General Retired Jessica Rossi Epel Alupo, Vice President of the Republic of Uganda. The Vice President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Honorable General Retired Dr. CGDN Chiwenga. The Vice President, Honorable Colonel Retired Dr. KCD Mohadi, in absentia. The National Chairman of ZANU-PF and Minister of Defense, Honorable OCZ Muchinguri Kashiri. The Chief Justice, Honorable E. Gwaunza. The Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Advocate JFN Mudenda. the President of Senate, Honorable M.M. Chinomona, the Minister of State for Provincial Affairs and Devolution, Mashonaland Central Province, Honorable Christopher Magomo, Honorable Ministers, the Attorney General, and Deputy Ministers here present, Excellencies, Heads of Diplomatic Missions and International Organizations, Honorable Members of Parliament, the Chief Secretary of the President and Cabinet, Dr. M. Rushwaya, the Chairman of the Public Service Commission, Dr. V. Wungwe, Deputy Chief Secretaries, Public Service Commissioners and other commissioners here present, Permanent Secretaries and Secretaries for Provincial Affairs and Devolution, Service Chiefs, revered traditional leaders here present, Vice Chancellors of Universities, Acting Director General, African Minerals Development Center, Ms. Claude Sigam, representing the African Union Commissioner for Economic Development, Trade, Tourism, Industry, and Minerals. APRM panel member in charge of Zimbabwe, Her Excellency Dr. Thelma Awori, former chairperson of the APRM panel and former panel member in charge of Zimbabwe, His Excellency Ambassador Ali L. Hefni, representatives of the private sector, leaders and heads of religious organizations, representatives of civic groups, development partners, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning to you all. My name is Ambassador Albert Ranganai Chimbindi. I'm the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Trade. I'm also the national focal point for the APRM in Zimbabwe, and I'll be your Director of Ceremonies today. It is my great honor and privilege to warmly welcome you all to this historic occasion as the Republic of Zimbabwe marks an important phase in the African peer review mechanism process. We are especially honored by the presence of the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe and Head of State and Government, His Excellency Dr. Emmerson Mnangagwa, our guest of honor, whose visionary leadership continues to inspire our collective efforts toward strengthening governance and advancing national development. We are equally and deeply honored by the presence of Her Excellency Major General Retired Jessica Rose Epel Alupo, Vice President of the Republic of Uganda, representing His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the President of the Republic of Uganda, who is also the Chairperson of the African Peer Review Forum of Heads of State and Government. Her presence testifies to the enduring bonds of friendship between Zimbabwe and Uganda, and also underscores Uganda's steadfast leadership in the APRM Forum. It equally reaffirms our shared commitment towards promoting good governance, accountability, peer learning, and sustainable development across the African continent. Distinguished guests, we are gathered here today to witness a historic milestone, the official launch of the APRM in our beloved country, Zimbabwe. Allow me to give a brief synopsis of Zimbabwe's journey under the APRM. Zimbabwe voluntarily acceded to this mutually agreed self-monitoring mechanism of the African Union during the 29th session of the APRM Forum of Heads of State and Government that was held in Ethiopia in 2020, reaffirming our commitment as a country to good governance and continuous national development through experience sharing. This commitment was demonstrated through the successful targeted review mission on economic governance and management that was conducted from 3 to 18 November 2025, following extensive stakeholder consultations across the country. Zimbabwe subsequently presented its targeted review report to the ordinary session of the African Peer Review Mechanism Forum of Heads of State and Government in February 2026. Building on the recommendations of the review, Cabinet approved the National Program of Action, which now serves as the country's roadmap for implementing the agreed reforms while consolidating progress already achieved in governance, in economic management, and inclusive social development. In that regard, this landmark gathering today signifies Zimbabwe's commitment to the collective resolve to promote good governance, democracy, transparency, accountability, and sustainable socio-economic development. It also reaffirms the country's dedication to peer learning, mutual accountability, and the collective aspirations to achieve the Africa we want through the African Union's Agenda 2063, while also strengthening the resolve to build resilient institutions, promote inclusive development, and improve the well-being of its citizens. In the true spirit of the APRM of inclusivity, dialogue, mutual learning, and shared responsibility, we are deeply honored by your presence at this historic function in our country's governance journey. We trust that today's program will be informative, inspiring, and also enriching in our collective understanding of the APRM process. Distinguished guests, without further ado, it is now my singular honor and privilege to Honorable Christopher Magomo to deliver his welcome remarks. Honorable Minister, sir.
Thank you very much. The Director of Ceremonies, who is the Secretary for Foreign Affairs and International Trade, and the Zimbabwe African Peer Review Mechanism National Focal Point, Ambassador A.R. Chimbindi. Our guest of honor, Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, and the Head of State and Government, Comrade Dr. Emmerson Mnangagwa. The First Lady of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Dr. Auxilia Mnangagwa. His Excellency, Comrade Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, represent the President of the Republic of Uganda and the Chairperson of the African Peer Review Forum of Heads of State and Government, represented by Her Excellency, Major General Retired Jessica Rosie Epeo Alupo, Vice President of the Republic of Uganda. Honorable Vice President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Comrade Dr. CGDN Chiwenga. Distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. On behalf of the government of the Republic of Zimbabwe and the Mashonaland Central Province, it is my honor to warmly welcome you all to this important occasion of the official launch of the African Peer Review Mechanism in Zimbabwe. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe and Head of State and Government, Comrade Dr. Emmerson Mnangagwa, we are honored and deeply privileged that we have found it fitting to grace this important national event with your presence. Your astute leadership and steadfast commitment to good governance and sustainable development continue to encourage our nation and reaffirm Zimbabwe's commitment to the principles of the African Peer Review Mechanism. We are sincerely grateful that you have joined us to officially launch the African Peer Review Mechanism in Zimbabwe, and we extend to you our warmest and most respectful welcome. Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of Uganda, Major General Retired Jessica Rosie Epeo Alupo, we take this opportunity to extend our heartfelt welcome and gratitude for joining us today on behalf of His Excellency, Comrade Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the President of the Republic of Uganda, and chairperson of the African Peer Review Forum, heads of state and government. Your presence here today is a clear demonstration of the enduring spirit of African solidarity and cooperation that underpins the African Peer Review mechanism. We also take this opportunity to warmly congratulate the Republic of Uganda on assuming the chairmanship of the African Peer Review Forum, and we wish you every success as you steer this important continental institution. We also extend a warm, respectful welcome to all our distinguished guests who have traveled from across Zimbabwe and beyond. We extend our heartfelt welcome. Your presence is a testament to our shared commitment to advancing good governance, strengthening institutions, and fostering inclusive and sustainable development across our continent. As a nation, Zimbabwe remains guided by the foreign policy doctrine of being a friend to all and an enemy to none. And your presence here today reflects the enduring partnership, mutual respect, and spirit of cooperation that continue to define our engagement with the African family and the international community. We trust that beyond today's program, you will experience the warmth, hospitality, and rich heritage which our province, Mashonaland Central, and nation are renowned. For example, the Mavuradona Wilderness Area for scenic hiking, Baradzanwa Cultural Center, 15 kilometers from here to the north, and Makumbiri Game Park, to mention but a few. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, your presence has made this occasion truly memorable. Once again, I warmly welcome you all and wish you a successful launch. I thank you.
Let's give the Honorable Minister a big round of applause. Thank you, Honorable Minister, for those warm and gracious remarks. Distinguished guests, I now have the honor and privilege to invite the African Peer Review panel member in charge of Zimbabwe, Her Excellency Dr. Thelma Awori, to deliver a statement on behalf of the APRM Continental Secretariat.
Thank you very much. That's our protocol. Good morning, everyone. Your Excellency, Dr. Emmerson Mnangagwa, President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Your Excellency, the First Lady of the Republic of Zimbabwe in absentia, Your Excellencies, Honorable Vice Presidents of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Honorable Vice President of the Republic of Uganda, Her Excellency, Your Excellency the Foreign Minister, members of the APRM. At the onset, I wish to express my sincere appreciation to His Excellency the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, President Emerson Mnangagwa, the government and people of Zimbabwe for their steadfast commitment to the APRM and to the principles of good governance, accountability, and sustainable development. Zimbabwe's active participation in the APRM reflects its confidence in African-led governance, solutions, and its determination to build strong institutions that foster inclusive economic transformation and improve the lives of its citizens. Mr. President, I would like to thank you for the warm welcome and hospitality that we have experienced, especially the APRM in Zimbabwe. I also would like to note personally and to say how pleased I am for the warm charm of the character of Zimbabweans, to which I particularly am personally familiar. I would like to congratulate you for the physical changes that I have noted since my sojourn in this country in the early 90s as head of the UN mission to Zimbabwe. And especially for this building. This is an outstanding edifice, and I'm told that it is one of the best parliament buildings in Africa. So congratulations to you, Mr. President, and to the Zimbabweans for this marvelous achievement. Your Excellencies, the APRM is the African Union's flagship governmental assessment mechanism established to promote democracy, sound political, economic, and corporate governance, socio-economic development, resilience, and sharing of best practices among African countries. Through evidence-based assessments, peer learning, and inclusive national dialogue, the mechanism supports member states in identifying governance strengths, addressing emergent challenges, and implementing reforms that advance the aspiration of Agenda 2063, the Africa we want. Zimbabwe's progress within the APRM has been exemplary. Since acceding to the mechanism in February 2020, the country has rapidly established all its national APRM structures and successfully completed the target review on economic governance and management. Following the sensitization mission in May 2025, the field review mission in November 2025, and the successful peer review by the APR Forum of Heads of States and Governments in February 2026, today's launch marks an important transition from governance assessment to the implementation of reforms. This is the important message that I bring to you today. The implementation of the national program of action arising from the review will require the collective commitment of government, of parliament, oversight institutions, the public sector, civil society, academia, development partners, and citizens. We are all expected to be on board and not to leave this work to the president, who we will then criticize later if it didn't work. The APRM in this scenario remains a trusted partner throughout the implementation phase by providing technical support, facilitating peer learning, promoting policy dialogue, and monitoring progress towards agreed governance reforms. The renewed focus on implementation is the heart of the APRM Strategic Plan 2025 to 2028, whose central objective is to ensure that APRM recommendations translate into measurable improvements in governance and sustainable development. Through the APRM Governance Support Program, the mechanism is evolving beyond assessment to actively supporting member states in implementing their national program of action. This includes strengthening institutional capacity, mobilizing technical expertise, facilitating strategic partnerships, and promoting the exchange of best practices across the continent. Zimbabwe is well positioned to benefit from this enhanced approach beginning in 2027, as the APRM works with national stakeholders to ensure that governance reforms deliver tangible results for citizens. Our ambition is to make the APRM increasingly relevant to the everyday lives of Africans by supporting reforms that strengthen public institutions, improve service delivery, enhance investors' confidence, promote economic resilience, and accelerate inclusive and sustainable development. Distinguished guests, today's launch is therefore not the end of the APRM process. Rather, it marks the beginning of its most important phase. It is through effective implementation that governance assessments become meaningful, institutions become stronger, public resources are managed more efficiently, and citizens experience real improvements in their quality of life. At this point, I would like to thank my predecessor, Ambassador Ali El-Safni, for the most commendable work he has done. Please give him a round of applause. I do not know the size of his shoes, but I humbly step into them to work with a country that I have known and loved and worked with before. On behalf of the APRM panel of eminent persons and the APRM Continental Secretariat, I congratulate the government and the people of Zimbabwe on reaching this important milestone. We commend Zimbabwe for the remarkable progress it has made since joining the APRM and reaffirm our unwavering commitment to support the successful implementation of the National Program of Action. Together, let us continue influencing good governance, strengthening economic resilience, and contributing to the realization of Zimbabwe's Vision 2030 and Agenda 2026, the Africa we want. Thank you.
Let's give her a big round of applause as she walks to her seat. Thank you very much, Dr. Awori. If you don't fit into the shoes, we'll buy a new pair of shoes. That was. Thank you very much for your insightful remarks and for the continued support for and assistance to Zimbabwe's APRM process. I would now invite the former chairperson of the APRM panel of eminent persons, who is also the former lead member for Zimbabwe, Ambassador Ali El Hefni, to address this gathering. Yes. He was affectionately called the young man during the field visits because he was outpacing all of us in terms of going around in the provinces. So he will demonstrate his
Your Excellency, Dr. Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa, President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Your Excellency, Dr. Jessica Rosie Epel Alupo, Vice President of the Republic of Uganda, Honorable Professor Dr. Amon Murwira, Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Trade, and I stand here on the established protocol. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pleasure and deep sense of fulfillment that I join you today for the official launch of the African Peer Review Mechanism Targeted Review Report on Economic Governance, Management in the Republic of Zimbabwe. At the outset, allow me to express my profound gratitude to His Excellency Dr. Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa, the government and the people of Zimbabwe for the gracious invitation extended to me to participate in this important occasion. Today's ceremony marks far more than the launch of a report. It represents the culmination of a significant milestone in Zimbabwe's APRM journey, a journey that began with the country's accession to the mechanism in 2020 and has since reflected an unwavering commitment to strengthening governance, promoting accountability, and advancing sustainable national development. It is particularly gratifying for me to return to Zimbabwe, having had the privilege of serving as the APR panel member responsible for Zimbabwe and chairperson of the APR panel of eminent persons during the period in which this important review was undertaken. Leading the targeted review mission from the 1st to the 19th of November 2025 afforded me the opportunity to witness firsthand the remarkable commitment of the government, national institutions, and the people of Zimbabwe to an open, inclusive, and nationally owned governance assessment process. Our consultations covered all 10 provinces of Zimbabwe and a big number of stakeholders. This broad engagement reflected one of the defining principles of the APRM, that lasting Governance reforms can only succeed when they are informed by inclusive dialogue, national ownership, and broad stakeholder participation. Throughout these consultations, one clear message consistently emerged: Zimbabwe remains firmly committed to building a resilient, prosperous, and inclusive economy despite confronting considerable domestic and external challenges. Guided by the Vision 2030, the country's reform agenda continues to pursue macroeconomic stability, industrialization, infrastructure development, value addition, agricultural transformation, and investment promotion with the objective of attaining upper middle income society by 2030. The review recognized that these reforms have been pursued under particularly challenging circumstances. Nevertheless, Zimbabwe has demonstrated remarkable resilience by pursuing homegrown reforms, strengthening regional and international partnerships, and promoting economic diversification. Our assessment also found encouraging progress in Zimbabwe's commitment to internationally recognized governance standards, which demonstrates Zimbabwe's determination to progressively align its governance framework with continental and international best practices. The review equally identifies significant progress in strengthening public financial management. The introduction of the Integrated Financial Management Information System enhanced public audit mechanisms, strengthened parliamentary oversight, and the institutionalization of medium-term expenditure frameworks have all contributed to improving fiscal discipline, transparency, and accountability. At the same time, the review recommends continued efforts to address challenges relating to off-budget expenditures, rising public debt, delayed financial reporting, and institutional capacity to further consolidate these gains. The review further established that Zimbabwe has made commendable progress in promoting participatory governance. Constitutional guarantees have been complemented by consultative platforms such as the Tripartite Negotiating Forum and the Country Devolution Agenda, creating greater opportunities for stakeholder engagement in public policy making. Going forward, additional efforts to strengthen the participation of women, young people, persons with disabilities, and marginalized communities will further deepen inclusive governance and strengthen democratic ownership of public policies. The review likewise recognized the government's efforts to improve the investment climate through regulatory reforms, streamlined licensing procedures, strengthened investor protection, and enhanced fiscal incentives. The review also identified several commendable practices that distinguish Zimbabwe's governance and development reform agenda. Among these is the performance contracting framework, which has strengthened transparency, accountability, and results-based management across the public sector by linking the performance of ministers, permanent secretaries, and senior public officials to measurable national development targets. Equally noteworthy are the village business units under the Rural Development 8.0 model, an innovative initiative that seeks to transform rural communities into productive economic hubs through irrigation infrastructure, agro-processing, value addition, skills development, and market linkages. The review further commended Zimbabwe's heritage-based education 5.0 framework, which has repositioned higher education beyond its traditional mandates of teaching, research, and community service by integrating innovation and industrialization as central pillars of university education. During our engagements across all 10 provinces of the country, one philosophy consistently resonated with stakeholders. Nyika inovakwa neveni vayo. A country is built by its own people. Lee's way Lakiwa Ngabanika Kazi Balo. I hope I pronounced it properly. This vision closely mirrors the philosophy of the African peer review mechanism. The APRM firmly believes that sustainable governance and development cannot be imposed from outside. They must be driven by national leadership, strong institutions, and citizens working together in a spirit of accountability, inclusion, and shared responsibility. Equally inspiring is His Excellency President Mnangagwa's guiding principle of leaving no one and no place behind, which reflects the APRM's unwavering commitment to inclusive governance and people-centered development. Your Excellencies, the recommendations contained in this report are not an end in itself. In themselves, they constitute a practical roadmap for strengthening economic governance, consolidating macroeconomic stability, improving public financial management, enhancing transparency, promoting investment, and creating greater opportunities for every Zimbabwean. I'm particularly encouraged that the APRM has evolved from being primarily a governance assessment mechanism into an implementation-oriented institution through the APRM Governance Support Program. This important initiative bridges the gap between governance assessments and implementation by providing member states with technical assistance, institutional strengthening, peer learning, and strategic partnerships. Having witnessed Zimbabwe's remarkable progress since joining the APRM in 2020, I have no doubt that the country is now well positioned to undertake a full country review in 2027. Such a comprehensive review would provide an even broader diagnosis of governance across all thematic areas, further strengthen Zimbabwe's institutions, deepen democratic governance, enhance economic resilience, and support sustainable development. Allow me once again to congratulate His Excellency President Dr. Emmerson Mnangagwa, the government and the people of Zimbabwe for their openness, cooperation, and unwavering commitment throughout this process. I equally commend the APRM National Focal Point, the National Governing Council, the National Secretariat, our development partners, and every stakeholder whose contribution made this review possible. I remain confident that those sustained political commitment, national ownership, and collective action, Zimbabwe will successfully implement the recommendations of this report, accelerate the attainment of Vision 2030, and make a significant contribution to the realization of Agenda 2063, the Africa we want. I would like, before I finish, to thank Dr. Thelma Ahura, the APR panel member in charge of Zimbabwe, and I am sure that the Zimbabwe file will be in better hands after I left it myself. Thank you very much for your attention.
Let's give the ambassador a big round of applause. Thank you, Ambassador Earl Hefney, for your invaluable contribution and steadfast support throughout Zimbabwe's APRM journey. We owe you a huge debt of gratitude for the professional manner in which you led the APRM mission that visited all the 10 provinces conducting the targeted review process. Let's give him another big round of applause. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my pleasure to invite the Acting Director General, African Minerals Development Center, Mrs. Claude Sigama, who is here representing the African Union Commissioner for Economic Development, Trade, tourism, industry, and minerals. You have the floor, Madam.
Your Excellency, Dr. Emerson Mnangagwa, President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Her Excellency, the First Lady of the Republic of Zimbabwe in absentia, Honorable Vice Presidents of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Your Excellency, Major Retired Jessica Rose Epel Alupo, Vice President of the Republic of Uganda, Honorable Professor Amon Mirura, Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Trade, Honorable Ministers, Member of the African Peer Review Panel and the National Governing Council, all protocol observed. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Your Excellency, I would like to join Dr. Awori to thank the government for the gracious hospitality. 31 years ago, I was last here. Coming back today, what strikes the most is the warmth. That warm start at the airport with a modern, efficient process that welcomes visitors smoothly and with such respect. It tells a lot about the country when the very first welcome feels so democratic and so human. Thank you. I have the honor to deliver this statement on behalf of Her Excellency Francisca Tacho Belobe, African Union Commissioner for Economic Development, Trade, Tourism, Industry and Minerals, who would have wished to join you in person, but is regrettably unable to do so due to unavoidable commitments. I also convey the warm greetings of His Excellency Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, Chairperson of the African Union Commission, and commend His Excellency President Mnangagwa, the government and the people of Zimbabwe for embracing this African process of accountability, learning and reforms. As duty bearers, our responsibility is not simply to endorse African Union norms and standards. We must demonstrate how they are reflected in our institutions, our economic choices, and above all, in the lives of our people. The APRM is Africa's sovereign instrument for examining how we govern ourselves, learning from one another, and translating commitment into result. Zimbabwe Review drew on consultation across all 10 provinces and engaged government, business, civil society, academia, traditional leaders, women, and young people. Excellencies, the central message I drew from the review is clear. Governance is both process and substance. Its ultimate test is whether it strengthens public confidence, empowers citizens, and delivers transformation. Participation must be informed and meaningful. Do citizens have access to sufficient, timely, and understandable information to grasp the issue at stake? Can they see how their contribution influences decisions? Without transparency and effective feedback, consultation risks being perceived as symbolic. We must also ask what governance delivers. Does it create productive employment? Does it equip young people for a changing economy? Does it enable local entrepreneurs to access finance, markets, and productive assets? Good governance is not only consultation, it is empowerment. The review identified concrete progress. Zimbabwe has adopted 11 of the 14 standards and codes relevant to economic governance, an adherence rate of 79%. It's record that 76.6% of citizens perceive improved participation in economic policy formulation. It also notes the seizure of assets valued at approximately $78 million between 2021 and 2024. Performance contracting is strengthening public sector accountability. Rural Development 8.0 is connecting communities to infrastructure and markets. Heritage-based education 5.0 is moving universities towards innovation and industrialization. The true value of peer review lies not in assessment alone, but in turning recommendation into reform that citizens can see, experience, and trust. Your Excellencies, as Africa advances implementation of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, governance is no longer only an economic imperative. Zimbabwe's approach to lithium and mineral beneficiation offer an important lesson for Africa. By promoting domestic processing and local participation, Zimbabwe is sending a powerful message. African mineral wealth must be measured not only by what leaves the ground, but by the industries, technologies, enterprises, and jobs it creates at home. Zimbabwe is emerging as one of the continent's most assertive pioneers in lithium beneficiation and local value addition. This is not merely a mining policy. It is a statement of industrial ambition. Global mineral value chains have historically left resource-producing countries with limited opportunities to retain a greater share of value. Zimbabwe policy direction is therefore an ambitious effort to change this pattern. The strategic question is how to ensure that this new economic space benefits Zimbabwean enterprise, skilled workers, young innovators, and mining communities, especially those historically excluded from the ownership, opportunities, and value generated by their country mineral wealth. Beneficiation must be supported by reliable energy, infrastructure, predictable regulation, technology transfer, access to finance, and decisive local content strategies, and those at the highest level of state. This is where the APRM, the Africa Mining Vision, and the Africa Governance Framework, the AMGIF, must work together. Apply alongside the APRM, the AMGIF can shift the focus from how minerals are governed to what mineral governance delivers. Local industries, productive jobs, thriving community, and a far greater share of mineral value retained within African economies. Excellencies, the second strategic issue is skills. Given the quality of its education and training system, Zimbabwe can become the hub for African economy integration, a country where African engineers undertake advanced training and where the network of tomorrow Pan-African enterprises are forged. Zimbabwe can also help design a Pan-African model for supporting homegrown entrepreneurship. As labor market evolve, Zimbabwe has an opportunity to mobilize the knowledge and entrepreneurial capacity of its diaspora and returning professionals. A returning engineer should find industries capable of using her knowledge. A returning entrepreneur should find finance, infrastructure, and market access. The objective is not only to process more minerals, it is to raise productivity across the economy and give young people the opportunity and tools to express their talent rather than leaving exile as their only pathway to fulfillment. Your Excellencies, ownership and productivity must advance together. Redistribution without productivity cannot sustain prosperity, but productivity without inclusion cannot sustain legitimacy. For prosperity to be lasting and resilient, it must be anchored in expanding domestic and regional market with real purchasing power. Prosperous communities are not merely the beneficiary of successful businesses, they are the foundation on which successful businesses are built. Let us be clear, the cardinal promises of Agenda 2063, the Africa we want, is that no one should be left behind. As the institution supporting implementation of the African mining vision, the African Mineral Development Center must remain a vigilant guardian of that promise, ensuring that African mineral transformation is guided by the fundamental principle of Ubuntu, create, share prosperity, and leave no community behind. The African Union Commission stands ready to support Zimbabwe through mineral beneficiation, local content strategies, skill development, and regional mineral value chains. I also respectfully encourage Zimbabwe to complete the ratification of the Statute of the African Mineral Development Center and help shape Africa's collective mineral agenda. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the success of this review will not be measured by the report alone, but by the transformation it delivers, enterprise created, young people employed, community benefiting from mineral wealth, greater value retained within Zimbabwe, and a demonstration effect that inspires progress across the continent. Let's move from commitment to implementation, from mineral endowment to industrial capabilities, from education to productive opportunity, from consultation to visible transformation. As Zimbabwe national philosophy reminds us, Nika inovakwa nevene vayo, ilizwe lakiwa nakiza balo. A country is built by its own people. May Zimbabwe's experience serve not only its own transformation, but the transformation of our continent. I thank you.
Let us give a big round of applause. She arrived yesterday. She already knows kuti nyika inovakwa nevene vanhu. It's infectious. Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for those inspiring remarks and for reaffirming the African Union's commitment. Reaffirming the African Union's commitment to strengthening governance across our continent, particularly in the area of economic governance and management. The President of the Republic of Zimbabwe is already leading from the front on the principle of leaving no one and no place behind. Let's give him a big round of applause. Thank you very much. We shall now view a short APRM documentary that highlights Zimbabwe's journey under the APRM.
Across Africa, nations are strengthening governance through the Africa Peer Review Mechanism, a voluntary African Union instrument that promotes accountability, transparency, and shared learning. The APRM assesses member states in democracy and political governance, economic governance and management, corporate governance, and socio-economic development. From the 1st to the 19th of November 2025, Zimbabwe underwent its first targeted review under the APRM. Led by Ambassador Ali Al-Afni, the delegation engaged government institutions, the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe, Zimstat, Zimtrade, academia, the media, the private sector, and civil society. The review focused on economic governance and management in support of Zimbabwe's Vision 2030. The delegation witnessed Zimbabwe's transformation through flagship infrastructure projects delivered under the National Development Strategy 1. They also visited village business units in Matabeleland South and the modernized Beitbridge border post, reflecting the Second Republic's commitment to leaving no one and no place behind. Innovation hubs at the National University of Science and Technology, Chinhoyi University of Technology, and Bindura University of Science Education are advancing Education 5.0 by linking research with industry. At Manize, the Dinson Iron and Steel Project demonstrates value addition through mineral beneficiation, while the Great Zimbabwe Hydropower Plant highlights Zimbabwe's investment in sustainable energy for economic growth.
Stakeholders commended the government for its commendable efforts in infrastructure development, macroeconomic stabilization, and efforts to enhance fiscal discipline, which are important foundations for achieving Zimbabwe's aspiration of becoming an upper middle income economy by 2030. These initiatives reflect a strong commitment to restoring economic confidence and improving investment climate.
The signing of a Memorandum of Understanding formally launched the technical assessment of economic governance and management.
We are working with a huge plan to make sure that this country develops at the pace that it has to develop it, given the constraints that we have of the illegal sanctions that were imposed upon us. They've got a very negative effect on perceptions. But in actual fact, Zimbabwe is, it is very nice people. We fight no one, we just fight poverty.
A preliminary report was later validated in Masvingo through stakeholder consultations before submission to His Excellency President Emerson Mnangagwa and subsequently to the 35th APRM Forum of Heads of State and Government.
In the context of the APRM benchmarks and the targeted review, Zimbabwe reaffirms its resolve to A. Strengthen fiscal discipline and macroeconomic stability. B. Enhance transparency in public finance management. C. Promote inclusive growth that leaves no citizen and no place behind. And D. Align national policies with continental and global best practices in line with Section 12, subsection 2 of our Zimbabwe Constitution.
The first targeted assessment by the APRM saw Zimbabwe being commended for transformative leadership that is driving national development, performance contracting which has contributed significantly towards economic governance and management, village business units under the Rural Development 8.0 model, land reform that has addressed deep-rooted colonial land ownership, heritage-based education 5.0 philosophy that is redefining the role of higher education in fostering national development, and the monetary policy recalibrated in 2024 to promote stability, certainty and predictability in national economic affairs. The African Peer Review Mechanism is more than an assessment. It is a platform for reflection, reform, and continuous improvement. As Zimbabwe advances towards Vision 2030 and contributes to Agenda 2063, the APRM reinforces a shared commitment to good governance and sustainable development.
Thank you very much. That marks the end of the documentary. At this juncture, we'll get some entertainment from the Zimbabwe Republic Police Band. Just a short music interlude. Let's give them a big round of applause. Thank you very much, the Zimbabwe Republic Police Band, for a wonderful piece. Your Excellency, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is now my singular honor and privilege to invite Your Excellency, Major General Retired Jessica Epeo Alupo, the Vice President of the Republic of Uganda, to deliver the remarks on behalf of His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, President of the Republic of Uganda, and current Chairperson of the African Peer Review Forum of Heads of State and Government. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in warmly welcoming Her Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of Uganda. Your Excellency.
Your Excellency, Dr. Emmerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa, President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Your Excellency, Dr. Chiwengwa, Vice President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, the representative of the Chairperson of the African Union Commission, the President of the Senate, the Speaker of Parliament, the Honorable Ministers present, the Chief Executive Officer of the APRM Continental Secretariat, members of the APRM panel of eminent persons, members of the Diplomatic Corps, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. As the Director of Ceremonies of today has already highlighted, I am here, Your Excellency, to present to you a message from your brother, General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, President of the Republic of Uganda. And before I do that, permit me to thank Your Excellency and indeed all the people of Zimbabwe for the warm hospitality accorded to me and my delegation upon arrival here in Harare yesterday afternoon. We have enjoyed the benefit of experiencing the African winter. And the hospitality of the people of Zimbabwe. This is the message of His Excellency, the President of Uganda. I extend fraternal greetings from the government and the people of Uganda to His Excellency, President Emmerson Dambuzo Mnangagwa, the government and the people of the Republic of Zimbabwe. I was honored by the invitation extended to me to attend this historic occasion. However, due to earlier scheduled state engagements, I have delegated Her Excellency Jessica Alupo, the Vice President of the Republic of Uganda, to represent me and to convey my heartfelt congratulations on the official launch of Zimbabwe's targeted review on economic governance and management. Allow me to also express my sincere appreciation to the government and the people of Zimbabwe for the warm hospitality extended to my delegation and for the excellent arrangements made for this important event. Uganda is honored to serve as chair of the African Peer Review Mechanism, Troika, during this important period in the evolution of the mechanism. We remain committed to working with all APRM participating states to strengthen governance, deepen peer learning, and promote African solutions to African challenges. Your Excellency, today's event marks an important milestone in Zimbabwe's APRM journey. The official launch of the targeted review on economic governance and management demonstrates Zimbabwe's continued commitment to strengthening economic governance, accountable institutions, and sustainable socio-economic transformation in pursuit of the aspirations of Agenda 2063. I congratulate Zimbabwe on the remarkable progress it has made since acceding to the APRM on the 8th February 2022 as the 44th member state. Within a relatively short period, Zimbabwe successfully completed its targeted review on economic governance and management, presented the report to the APRM Forum of Heads of State and Government on 13th February 2026, and has now launched a nationally owned and costed national program of action. This achievement reflects strong political leadership, effective institutional coordination, and a firm commitment to governance reform. The decision to undertake a targeted review on economic governance and management is both timely and strategic. At a time when Africa is accelerating implementation of Agenda 2063 and the African Continental Free Trade Area, sound economic governance is indispensable for promoting investment, enhancing competitiveness, strengthening regional value chains, and delivering sustainable and inclusive growth. The review rightly recognizes Zimbabwe's continued commitment to regional integration through SADC, COMESA, and the African Continental Free Trade Area, while identifying practical opportunities to strengthen economic governance and institutional effectiveness. These are challenges shared by many African countries, making peer learning and the exchange of best practices more relevant than ever before. Your Excellency, the APRM remains Africa's foremost governance instrument, conceived by Africans, owned by Africans, and driven by the conviction that Africa's governance challenges are best addressed through African leadership and African solutions. Through voluntary self-assessment, peer learning, mutual accountability, and the exchange of best practices, the mechanism has become an indispensable platform for strengthening institutions, informing policy reforms, promoting peace, and accelerating socio-economic transformation across our continent. However, a true value of the APRM does not lie in the review report itself. Its greatest value lies in the implementation of the National Program of Action. A review only becomes meaningful when it translates into concrete reforms, measurable improvements, and tangible benefits for all citizens. Today's launch, therefore, represents far more than the unveiling of a report. It is a public commitment to implementation, accountability, and continuous improvement. Your Excellency, as one of the APRM's founding members since March 2003, Uganda is among the few countries that have successfully undertaken 2 comprehensive country review processes. Our experience has demonstrated that peer review delivers lasting value only when national programs of action are adequately resourced, effectively coordinated, regularly monitored, and continuously reviewed. The review report is the beginning of the journey, not its destination. As chair of the APRM Forum, Uganda remains committed to strengthening the effectiveness and impact of the mechanism under the continental theme, i.e., addressing the bottlenecks hindering Africa's socio-economic transformation through the promotion of good governance. We firmly believe that good governance is not an end in itself. It is the foundation upon which economic transformation, industrialization, regional integration, peace and security, investment, and shared prosperity are built. Zimbabwe's targeted review gives practical expression to this vision by identifying governance reforms that will facilitate trade, investment, industrialization, and inclusive economic growth. Today's launch also comes as the APRM continues to evolve in response to Africa's emerging priorities. Recent decisions of the APRM Forum have expanded the mechanism's mandate to include digital governance, strengthened collaboration with African Union institutions, and reinforced the APRM's contribution to implementing Agenda 2063 and the Sustainable Development Goals. Your Excellency, Zimbabwe's successful implementation of its national program of action will contribute not only to national development, but also to regional and continental integration. Stronger economic governance strengthens investor confidence, promotes regional value chains, and advances the objectives of SADC, COMESA, and the African Continental Free Trade Area. In this regard, I congratulate Zimbabwe on assuming the chair of COMESA for the 2026-2027 period. Thank you. This important responsibility further underscores Zimbabwe's growing leadership in advancing regional economic integration and continental development. We are confident that the governance reforms advanced through the APRM will reinforce this important role. Uganda and Zimbabwe share a long history of solidarity, mutual respect, and cooperation dating back to our common liberation struggles. Today, our partnership continues to grow through strengthened collaboration in governance, trade, investment, regional integration, and sustainable development. Uganda stands ready to deepen South-South cooperation with Zimbabwe by sharing experiences in the National Program of Action implementation, monitoring and evaluation systems, stakeholder engagement, and institutional strengthening. Working closely with the APRM Continental Secretariat, Uganda also remains committed to supporting Zimbabwe through peer learning, technical cooperation, governance, support programs, and the exchange of best practices as it implements its national program of action. As we celebrate Zimbabwe's achievement, I encourage African Union member states that have not yet acceded to the APRM to do so. Equally, I urge those who have acceded but are not yet in the line of undertaking their reviews to have outstanding national programs of action to draw inspiration from Zimbabwe's example. With strong political commitment, effective institutions, and national ownership, the journey from review to implementation can be accelerated. On behalf of the government and the people of Uganda, I once again congratulate His Excellency, President Emmerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa, the government and the people of Zimbabwe on this historic milestone, and assure Zimbabwe of Uganda's continued support as it implements its national program of action. Your Excellency, Today's launch marks the beginning of a new chapter of strengthened economic governance, accountable leadership, inclusive development, and shared prosperity for Zimbabwe and for our beloved continent, Africa. I thank you for your kind attention. That is a message from your brother, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. I am a messenger. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Let's give Her Excellency a big round of applause for that insightful and inspiring speech. With very much for sharing your experience in the implementation of the APRM process, and especially underlining that the people should remain at the center of all that we do. Thank you very much for that inspiring speech. Your Excellency, at this point, I have the honor to invite the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Trade, Honorable Professor Dr. Amon Murwira, to deliver his remarks and formally introduce our guest of honor. Honorable Minister, sir, you have the floor.
Your Excellency, our President, the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of Uganda, Your Excellency, you may allow me to say all protocols observed. Your Excellency, leadership at its most profound level provides the guiding framework for the lasting strength of a civilization. Your Excellency, through your transformative leadership that has been validated by the African Union, you have taught us that Zimbabwe, and indeed our great continent of Africa, is not merely a group of post-colonial states, but a living civilization with a resilient identity through the institution of the African Union. This affirms that our continent's destiny is not borrowed, but authored by its own people. And that, thank you, Africa's progress and renewal rests on leadership which inspires unity, accountability, and sovereign development, which means a clear and disturbed policy environment tichiti nyika inovakwa nevene vayo, ilizwe lakiwa ngabanikazi vayo. A country is built by its own people. A continent is built by its own people. So is the world. Transformative leadership does not merely, or is not merely the exercise of power. It grows leadership in the people. Through the philosophy of ubiquitous leadership, you have shown Africa that authority is a collective mantle. it's not only a personal journey. As we have declared on our regional stages, when you were chairperson of SADC, you said everyone is a chairman in Zimbabwe. When you were addressing our Politburo about the oncoming chairpersonship of COMESA, you said we will all become chairmen. When you address people at our rallies, and then you say, who are your leaders? Who are your chefs? Then when they try to point at you, you say, no, you are the leaders. Ndimi ma chef. This is what we call your principle of ubiquitous leadership. This is leadership that resonates because its objectives are attainable and rooted in human needs. We want to eat, we want to drink, we want to move in good roads, we want health services, we want to communicate, and in summary, Your Excellency, you call it village wisdom. By modernizing, we are ensuring that our development is endogenous. Where to be is to be. To be is not to be like. We are ourselves, so we are we. We are who we are. So to be is to be. To be is not to be like. We are not chasing anyone, we are just chasing away poverty. It is a leadership philosophy that affirms that to be is to be ourselves and not to be defined by imitation. Our foreign policy is no longer to say it was an eye-opener to foreign ways, but a principled pragmatism that asserts that a country is built by its own people. Nyika inovakwa nevene vayo, ilizwe lakiwa ngabanikazi valo. We are dismantling the dual economy of poverty and replacing it with a knowledge-driven powerhouse, an African lion economy that thrives on innovation rooted in heritage. It is this commitment to a sovereign, accountable Africa that brings us to the launch of the Africa Peer Review Mechanism, an enduring platform for collective responsibility, principled governance, and continental self-determination. Your Excellency, your decision to accede to this mechanism in 2020 was a bold declaration that Zimbabwe does not fear the mirror of peer dialogue. We are not, as a country, afraid of seeing ourselves in the mirror. When the man in the mirror needs a shave, we will shave clean that man in the mirror. This is your leadership, being bold with the vilification of Zimbabwe over the years. We were afraid to be peer reviewed. You said no, let's be peer reviewed. We are not afraid of the man in the mirror. Your leadership has been resoundingly validated in this review as a standard for the continent. When the representative of the commissioner was talking, she said we had 11 distinctions out of 14 indicators. I thank you, Your Excellency. May I now turn to the introduction of the guest of honor. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we are honored to welcome our chief diplomat, whose transformative leadership has been recognized by his peers at the African Union APR panel during the 35th ordinary session of the APRIM Forum in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Our guest of honor, His Excellency, has steered Zimbabwe's sustained recovery despite global challenges, setting continental benchmarks that include, number one, institutionalizing of the performance contracting in the public sector to ensure a results-oriented culture, introducing heritage-based education 5.0 philosophy, turning knowledge into industry and addressing unemployment through innovation, sound monetary policies that achieved historic stability evidenced by exports surging to over 16 billion by 2025, and it resulted in the African Union moving Zimbabwe from category or tier 3 to tier 2 of the African Union countries by basically using back to basics. And His Excellency the President, Dr. E.D. Mnangagwa, calls it village wisdom. And he conducted a land reform program, very bold land reform program, that resulted in the success of Zimbabwe and at the same time the introduction of village business units. His diplomatic mastery secured Zimbabwe a seat at the UN Security Council with a count of 182 states out of 190 who voted. That's 96%. 96% to the nearest 100 is 100% by simple mathematical rules. This is leadership that speaks to Africa's collective aspirations, anchored in accountability, industrialization, and sovereign development. The doctrine of friend to all and an enemy to none is not out of fear, but it is out of principle. It is out of our values of Ubuntu. You are because I am. Fight poverty, not people. This is the foreign policy doctrine that wins. It is my privilege and honor to introduce and call upon this visionary leader who continues to inspire continental standards of governance and transformation, not change, transformation. It is His Excellency the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe and our Chief Diplomat, Dr. Emmerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa. Your Excellency, may you address the crowd.
Pray, be seated. Now, Director of Ceremonies, the Vice President of the Republic of Uganda, Major Retired Jessica Alupo, Vice President, General Retired Dr. Chiwenga, Vice President, Colonel Retired Dr. KCD Moadi, the Speaker of Parliament, Advocate Jeff Mdenda, President of the Senate, Honorable M.M. Chinamona, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Trade, Professor Amon Murira, other honorable members and members of Parliament who are here, AU Commissioner for Economic Development, Trade, Tourism, Industry and Minerals, Her Excellency Francisca Belope, APR panel member in charge of Zimbabwe, Dr. Telma Awori, former chairperson of the African Peer Review panel of eminent persons and lead member for Zimbabwe, Ambassador Ali El Hefni, the Chief Secretary to the President and Cabinet, Dr. Martin Rushoya, Chairman of Public Service Commission, Dr. Vincent Ungwe, Chairperson of the National Governing Council, Commissioner Ambassador Manzou, and other council members who are here. Members of the APRM National Secretariat and staff, senior government officials, Your Excellencies, members of the Diplomatic Corps, captains of industry, and development partners who are here, distinguished guests. It is my singular honor to address you at this occasion of the official launch of the African Peer Review Mechanism, which is of significant importance to the government and the people of Zimbabwe. May I begin by extending a warm welcome to the Honorable Vice President of the Republic of Uganda, retired Major General Jessica Alupo, who is here representing my dear brother, His Excellency President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the current chairperson of the African Peer Review Forum of Heads of State and Government. I congratulate you, Honorable Vice President, on your country's assumption of chair of this important continental initiative. Zimbabwe is confident that under your country's stewardship, headway will be made towards advancing the values and principles of the African Peer Review Mechanism. May I take this opportunity of your presence to thank, through you, His Excellency President Museveni, as well as the government and people of Uganda for their support in Zimbabwe's recent election for a non-permanent seat in the United Nations Security Council for the period 2027 to 2028. We in Zimbabwe appreciate your country's steadfast solidarity towards advancing the global peace and security agenda. Allow me to equally recognize the current African Peer Review Panel member in charge of Zimbabwe, Her Excellency Dr. Thelma Owori. The former chairperson of the African Peer Review Panel of eminent persons and the lead panelist for Zimbabwe, His Excellency Ambassador L. Efni Muhammad, he has also joined us, along with the delegation from the APRM Continental Secretariat to Zimbabwe. You are all welcome. I commend the APRM Continental Secretariat for the work done for us to realize this momentous milestone. Zimbabwe is grateful for the backing of the African Union leadership and collective effort, which has seen us record the successes achieved to date. Your assistance and critical guidance proved invaluable during the targeted review process, which we undertook under the theme, quote, economic governance and management, end of quote. The teamwork and the synergies reflect the enduring spirit of Pan-Africanism and should be nurtured to further strengthen the African peer review mechanism. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, comrades and friends, today's ceremony marks an important landmark in Zimbabwe's journey under the African peer review mechanism. This forum is a uniquely African homegrown initiative that embodies Africa's commitment to mutual accountability, self-assessment, as well as continuous improvement in governance and development. Since Zimbabwe's voluntary accession to the mechanism in February 2020, our continued engagement and a PRM process reinforces our position as a committed member state. We are dedicated to the collective pursuit of good governance, sustainable development, and the realization of the aspirations of Agenda 2063. The APRM aligns with our nation's vision 2030 and current economic blueprint, the National Development Strategy number 2, as well as the Sustainable Development Goals we have set for ourselves. These blueprints continue to guide the people of Zimbabwe in our ongoing pursuit to become a prosperous, empowered, and inclusive upper middle income society. My government's engagements within the APRM dovetails with our nation's constitutional provisions and laws. In particular, Section 9 of the Constitution of Zimbabwe mandates the state to adopt and implement policies and legislation that promote efficient, transparent, and accountable governance at every level. Similarly, Section 12, subsection 2 of the Constitution underscores Zimbabwe's commitment to pursue foreign policies that promote regional and continental cooperation, promotes peace and economic development. In this regard, our collaboration embodies these principles in practice and also reflect our long-standing belief in a African-led solutions for African challenges. Zimbabwe recognizes the importance of democracy, unity, peace, and security as essential ingredients for sustainable development. The acceptance by my administration to be reviewed, therefore, amplifies our pledge to the citizenry that we are a people-centered government. Their voices matter. Hence, our institutions and the policies are open to analysis and improvement. Governance is not static, but ever changing and evolving. As such, the Second Republic is ready to continually evolve in line with the needs and national interests of our beloved motherland, Zimbabwe. In all that we do, we remain guided by our national development philosophy, and that is, a country is built, is governed, and is prayed for by its own people. In our local language, we say, Nyika inovakwa, igotongwa, igonamatirwa nei. Hallelujah, Jehovah Kudenga. Amen. Ladies and gentlemen, comrades and friends, at the African Union Summit of Heads and State in Government, held on 13th February 2026, I had the honor to receive the Zimbabwe's targeted review report on economic governance and management, which was subsequently peer-reviewed by fellow African leaders. Since then, my government has taken into consideration the comprehensive recommendations made thereunder and developed a national program of action matrix. We are determined to achieve equitable development that leaves no one and no place behind. I am encouraged that Zimbabwe's targeted review report highlights practices and homegrown solutions implemented by my government in response to our national realities, while contributing to Africa's broader development agenda. Among the commendable practices we have adopted and operationalized include transformative leadership, the land reform program, performance contracting, innovation and heritage-based education 5.0, our village business unity and rural development 8.0 model, our monetary policy revitalization back to basics approach. As Zimbabwe, we stand ready to share our experiences, innovations, and successful models with fellow member states of the African Union as our contribution to collective progress, development, and the shared prosperity for the peoples of our continent, the continent of Africa. To my fellow countrymen and women, the APRM is not for government alone, but for every Zimbabwean. The mechanism is a vital tool for inclusive growth and sustainable socio-economic development. It aligns with our development philosophy, Nyika, Inovakwa, Inotongwa, Igona Matigwanei. Hallelujah. I therefore call upon all stakeholders, government ministries, departments and agencies, civil society organizations, the private sector, academia, and ordinary citizens to continue actively participating and engaging in the APRM processes. Let us never shy away from improving our systems, hearing the views of the people we serve, and appropriately adjusting our respective organizations and entities to meet the expectations of our stakeholders. Our beloved motherland, Zimbabwe, is on an irreversible and accelerated course to national economic development and prosperity. No one can stop that. In this journey, we should always carry the majority of our people along towards a higher quality of life. Socioeconomic gaps and disparities should be avoided and minimized across all sectors of the society. Let us draw lessons from our rich armed liberation war history and stay inspired by the more recent victories, such as over the negative impact of the heinous illegal sanctions imposed on our motherland, which made us more resolute as independent Zimbabwe. We all have a duty to energetically embark on the journey ahead with renewed zeal and focus. As we do so, let us carry forward successful governance practices and boldly embrace many more new policy models, business strategies, as well as partnerships to speed up modernization and industrialization of our country, Zimbabwe. The country remains guided by national interests and development priorities. Our unique Zimbabwean and African identity, values and culture must never be compromised. We are masters of our own destiny. The realization of the Zimbabwe we all want is in our own hands. Equally, let us be alive to our country's obligations to advance Pan-Africanism, regional and continental integration, as well as unity, peace and security for the peoples of Africa. Zimbabwe is not an island, but a friend to all and an enemy to none. Participation in the African peer review mechanism will undoubtedly result in stronger national institutions, deepen reforms, and help innovate systems, while also entrenching development principles that stress efficiency and fairness towards excellency in governance. My dear brothers and sisters, distinguished comrades, invited guests, allow me to take this opportunity to deeply appreciate the solidarity shown by SADC and African Union member states in calling for the unconditional removal of the unilateral coercive measures imposed on Zimbabwe by some stupid Western countries following our land reform program. May the journey of Zimbabwe, along with its twists and turns and the humble success milestones highlighted in the Zimbabwe Target Review Reform Report on Economic Governance and Management, serve as a source of inspiration of what we can achieve as the independent and sovereign people of Africa and the global South. The obligation to build, modernize, and develop our economies, leveraging on the rich resources and domains, is on our shoulders. Partners may only assist the realization of our respective visions and development priorities as set out by ourselves. The days of running with the agenda and the narrative set elsewhere in the Western capitals are over. I call on us, the peoples of this great continent of Africa, to honor the founding fathers of our nations and the revolutionary luminaries who founded the Organization of African Unity, the African Union. Now, the African Union, by doing our part to achieve African integration, unity, peace, and economic sovereignty. The aspirations of our ambitious young people, the hope of resilient women and dreams of hard-working entrepreneurs all depend on the actions we take. We do not have the luxury of failure. In unity, the revolutionary spirit that propelled our forebears to defeat colonial bondage and oppression, this generation can equally achieve economic freedom. A higher rate of development, modernization, and industrialization, as well as sustainable peace, security, and stability on the African continent can be achieved in our lifetime. I therefore reaffirm my government's steadfast commitment to working in unison with the fellow APRIM member states to realize our shared continental aspirations. Finally, may I once again express Zimbabwe's full commitment to the ideals, the principles, and objectives of the African peer review mechanism. Honorable Vice President, Retired General Jessica Alupo, please convey to my dear brother, President Yoweri Museveni, my warm regards and express that I look forward to working closely with him during Uganda's tenure of this important initiative. With these remarks, it is now my distinct honor and privilege to declare the African Peer Review Mechanism in the Republic of Zimbabwe officially launched. I wish us continued success in the work ahead. God bless you all.
So you can officially launch the report. Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Let's give His Excellency a big round of applause as he's formally launching the APRM process and the APRM report. Thank you, thank you. Another big round of applause. Thank you, Your Excellency. Another big round of applause for His Excellency. Yes. Thank you, Your Excellency, for your visionary and transformative leadership that has led us to this day. And thank you once more for your inspiring address. We also want to applaud you, Your Excellency, for acceding to the APRM process, for your unwavering commitment to the process as you have just indicated, and for the facilitation of the targeted review process. Your Excellency, we are all directed accordingly to faithfully implement the plan of action for the benefit of the people we serve. Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for that inspiration. At this juncture, Your Excellency, please allow me to invite the chairperson of the Zimbabwe APRM National Governing Council, Commissioner Ambassador James Manzou, to give us the vote of thanks. Ambassador.
Thank you very much, Director of Ceremonies, Ambassador Chimbindi. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe and the Head of State and Government, Dr. Emmerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa. His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, President of the Republic of Uganda, and Chairperson of the APRM Forum of Heads of State and Government, represented here by Her Excellency Major Retired Jessica Rose Epel Alupo, Vice President of the Republic of Uganda. Allow me to say all protocols observed. Good afternoon to you all. As we come to the close of this historic program, it is my singular honor and privilege on behalf of the Zimbabwe African Peer Review Mechanism National Governing Council to deliver this vote of thanks. Our first and deepest gratitude is owed to you, Your Excellency, Comrade President, for graciously presiding over today's proceedings and for the very profound address you have just delivered. Your Excellency, no nation is compelled to submit itself to the African peer review mechanism. Membership of the APRM is voluntary, and scrutiny is invited and never imposed. And therefore, when Your Excellency took the bold decision to accede to the mechanism in February 2020, you did so by your deliberate choice. The choice of a transformative leadership, as the Minister said, unafraid of the mirror. Put in another way, when the roots are deep, there is no reason to fear the wind. Your Excellency, by taking this progressive step of self-assessment and agreeing to openly be peer-reviewed by your counterparts, you have demonstrated not only a deep commitment to the principles of accountability and transparency, but also the confidence that Zimbabwe has nothing to hide. When the Zimbabwe Targeted Report came before your peers at the 35th APRM Forum in Addis Ababa this past February, you personally received its findings, celebrated its achievements, and embraced its recommendations. This spirit of openness and continuous improvement is the hallmark of a confident nation determined to achieve Vision 2030 and contribute meaningfully to the aspirations of the African Union Agenda 2063. For this steadfast political will, without which no progress could be made, we thank you most sincerely, Your Excellency. To Her Excellency, the Vice President of Uganda, we are profoundly honored by your presence in Harare and by the gracious message you have just delivered on behalf of His Excellency President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, Chairperson of the APRM Forum. There is, after all, no peer review without peers. That you have traveled to stand with Zimbabwe today gives expression to the solidarity upon which the APRM mechanism and indeed the African Union rests. We ask you to convey to the government and people of Uganda, the sisterly people of Uganda, the warm and fraternal greetings and gratitude of the government and people of Zimbabwe. Our appreciation goes in equal measure to the African Union, to the African Peer Review Panel as represented by Dr. Thelma Awori, and to the APRM Secretariat for their continued unwavering support and steadfast commitment to Zimbabwe's APRM processes. We reserve particular thanks to the targeted review team led by Ambassador Ali El Hafni, then chairperson of the APRM panel, which in November last year traversed all our 10 provinces, listening to Zimbabweans at every level of society, freely expressing themselves on the state of our economy. Your rigor, independence, and professionalism has given this report its credibility and has given Zimbabwe the most valuable gift of a story told fully and told fairly. And yet, the true authors of this report are the people of Zimbabwe. To our traditional and religious leaders, to civil society, to business and labor, to the academia, the media, to women, to young people, and to persons living with disability, and to the thousands of citizens in the provinces who attended APRM consultations, completed questionnaires, and spoke their minds freely. We simply say, this is your report, and its pages carry your story, which, as you have heard, is a very good story indeed. The lessons learned, as His Excellency has said, from you and also the good practices are well placed to reach the furthest end of our continent. For this, we thank you most profusely. As many have said at this podium, today's ceremony marks not the end of the process, but the beginning of an important national journey. As we move forward with the implementation of the APRM National Programme of Action, let us remain focused and united in our commitment to promoting good governance, strengthening democratic institutions, and fostering inclusive and sustainable development of all our citizens. It has also been said that the measure of our success today will not be taken by the eloquence in our ceremony, but in diligence, in the follow-up processes, in recommendations tracked, reforms delivered, institutions strengthened, and indeed in the life of ordinary Zimbabweans made tangibly better. We pledge as the National Governing Council to do our part to make the mechanism a living instrument of self-improvement and never a mere obligation. To my fellow members of the National Governing Council, let us remember that today is not just a celebration, but it is a call to action. The real work begins now, and we have a duty to make the mechanism a valuable tool for genuine transformation. Before I conclude, allow me, Your Excellencies, to thank the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Trade, Honorable Professor Dr. Amon Murira, the Permanent Secretary and the APRM National Focal Point, Ambassador Chimbindi, and all those individuals and institutions that made today's launch possible. Finally, Your Excellency, the President, Your Excellency, the Vice President of Uganda, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your presence. Thank you for your support. And thank you for your continued commitment to the ideals of the African peer review mechanism. Long live Zimbabwe. Long live the APRM, and long live the African Union. I thank you.
Okay, let's give him another round of applause. So the report is ours, all of us, as has been said, as we are all chairpersons of SADC, and we will be chairpersons of COMESA, and we will all be members of the UN Security Council. So we are all members of the APRM process. Thank you very much, Chair of the National Governing Council. This brings us to the conclusion of today's program. I sincerely thank you all for your presence and participation in this historic occasion, marking the official launch of the APRM in Zimbabwe. We wish you safe travels and look forward to your continued support as we advance the APRM process and strengthen good governance for sustainable national development. It has been my honor and privilege to have served as your Director of Ceremonies on this very auspicious occasion. I was also reminded and tasked that before we conclude or leave, I should inform distinguished delegates that lunch is now served. Our VVIPs and VIPs, including members of the diplomatic corps, will be courteously escorted by the protocol team to the pavilion, while senior government officials will be directed to the second floor dining room. All other distinguished guests are kindly invited to proceed to the hospitality tent outside where lunch has been prepared. Members of protocol team will be on hand to guide all of us. Thank you very much for your presence and your participation. And thank you, Excellency, for presiding over this document. Let's give His Excellency and his guests a big round of applause.
Thanks.
Thank you.